All right, so homework for today was to implement a begin statement, which allows us to have a collection of statements that could be part of a question, that could be part of a while loop, so basically have a single statement that contains multiple statements. All right, how did this go? Good, bad, terrible, easy?
It was like good.
It was good or not good?
Not good at first, but eventually. But like the mistake I've done is like using the arrays instead of array list. So that I couldn't add the uh, I can make the parts of the array, but I couldn't add to the array properly and then send it to the Spider interpreter. But by but after like taking the array list, it becomes simple and it gone as perfect.
All right, well, so let's take a look. We added a print statement last time, right? It'll actually make something appear on the screen.
You told us to create a new block statement.
Right, but last time we made a print statement.
Yes.
Okay, I mean, I thought of doing within the while statement which we have created.
Well, a block statement, I mean, the example here was we had a block statement, a begin end here that was we had it as an example, part of a while loop, but it should also work for a question. I mean, because this is a statement. This is a type of statement, a begin statement. Our while loop already works by saying while some tests do a single statement. So our while loop already does that. It's just expecting a single statement, just the statement it expects. When we say parse statement or we say interpret that statement is actually a collection of statements. So you shouldn't have to change while loop to make this work. You shouldn't have to change question to make this work. You're adding a new type of statement called a begin or called a block statement, whatever. So let's go through our process here. So we'll start in the interpreter. We're going to go ahead and we're going to create I'll base it off of my print statement just for the sake of consistency. So steal all that. And I'm going to make a block statement. So new class. Call this guy a block statement. We'll say a block statement, extend statement. This guy is going to be a block statement. And what he's going to do is he's going to take in a list of statements. We'll have this guy manage an array list of statements. We'll call this guy a block statement. And then we'll say this dot statements is equal to statements. All right, so that's what a block statement will hold, is a collection of statements. When we do it to string here, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to build up this string. So we'll say string s is equal to that so far. And then we'll say for statement stmt in this dot statements s concatenated with statement dot toString concatenated with, we'll just give it a \n, kick it down the line. It should automatically kick down a line from each of those statements. So the worst that happens is just have an extra space here. All right, so we'll start a string, which will be the parent's toString, which should mention us as a block statement. Then we'll go through our collection of statements and ask each of those statements to give themselves as a string. We'll tack it onto S, and then in the end, we'll return S. All right. And we'll go ahead and give ourselves our getter. For our statements. All right, so we'll say that's our block statement.
So what is the for loop will do?
Well, what is it? This goes through my list of statements and asks each one to give me the string representation of itself. That's, I mean, you could read the code, right? So this dot statements is an array list of statements. So this goes through each one of those statements, and each time it just asks that statement for a string, the string version of itself, and tacks it onto the string I'm building. So in the end, I return a single string that has information about this entire block statement, all the stuff that should happen inside of this block statement. So it does the same, I mean, this toString does the same thing as our toString did in all our other objects. Just a block statement happens to have a collection of statements. So I need to get the toString version of all of those statements. That makes sense?
Yeah.
All right, so let's go into our parser here. And we'll go down to parse statement. So we'll take in a string. I want to make sure our syntax is correct here. Yeah, we end it in a semicolon. So for example, this might be the statement we're processing here. Now, the reality is for right now, we should just be able to focus on, in fact, let me just steal this. We would be looking at something that looks like this. Put that here in a comment. All right, so when we split this guy, we're going to be stuck with all of these guys as little blocks as part of our part. So a bunch of strings. So we want to know if the parts at bucket 0 is equal to begin. So here, we'll put that right here. Else if the parts at bucket 0 dot equals begin. If that's the kind of animal I'm looking at, this is what that string looks like. All right, so we'll do pretty much the same thing we did before. So we'll do something like that, which will make temp equal this guy. Okay. Now we also want to go ahead and get the end off of it. So what we could really say is substring begin.length all the way up to s.length, which is the number of characters in S, minus, and I know we know how many things are in there, but I think it looks cleaner if we write it like end dot length. We obviously know this is 3, but effectively what I'm saying here is show me, give me the substring of S that is everything between begin and end. Give me that piece. Now, this does assume that we can't have a block statement inside of a block statement right now. You know, so if we want to have the ability to have a block statement inside of a block statement, we'll have to, actually, this would still allow for that. We're okay at this point, because this doesn't look for the index of n. This says, give me this part all the way up to wherever the end of the string is, minus the length of end, and then trim it. So what I'll be left with is this inside of temp. So here I'll give you that as an example here. So temp is currently that guy. All right, that makes sense. Now, this is where we possibly run into some issues of having something inside the block statement. So we'll keep this relatively simple, because now I want to split this guy on commas, where keep in mind that if we did have another block statement inside here, that would cause a issue. So let's think about it like this. From a programming perspective, it would not be uncommon for us to have a while loop inside of a while loop. So with that in mind, we would have to effectively walk our string. So we're going to do this the easy way first, and then we'll consider what if we want to take it to that next level, but we'll probably add some other features. The real question is I'll just write it here. How do we split this on, well, how do we split this into a collection of statements? So we might say, if we split on the comma, this would assume that there are 0 block statements inside this block statement. Now, for right now, I guess we can call that okay. But the reality is nothing would necessarily prevent us from having another while inside here. Like for instance, well, we don't even have to worry that it's part of a while. We can just say something like this, that we actually have a block statement right here that looks like that. So temp could potentially be print followed by another begin, even though we know begins can't exist just as their own. But we did see last time in Java that you can't actually just write a block statement in the middle of nowhere and it executes. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to have that. So this would be legal. Okay, but now if I split this guy on the comma, all of a sudden what it'll give me is it'll give me this guy, this guy, this guy. Okay, so I'm getting my internal things associated with my begin. I'm getting those as part of my list of the statements for the top level begin. So one thing we would have to consider to make this guy compatible. So I'm going to actually put a little statement here, say not currently compatible with embedded blocks. To make it compatible with embedded blocks, we would have to solve this problem. The problem where we identify additional begins with their corresponding ends, which really wouldn't be that big of a deal. We would probably use index of to just decide where the beginning of the next begin is, and then get the substring up to where the end was and deal with that guy as a separate collection. Not the end of the world, but let's not overly complicate the first version of this with that. So we'll just assume we can handle things like this. A while loop that has a begin and an end associated with it, and then has a collection of stuff it does in between. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to split this guy. So we'll say string array block parts is equal to temp dot split on the comma. All right, so what that'll do is it'll give us these separate pieces. So we'll have this guy as a statement, this guy as a statement. I'm sorry, I need to take my broken piece out. It'll give me this guy as a statement. Well, it'll give me this guy as a string, and then it'll give me this guy as a string. And both of those strings are representative of statements. And I happen to have something called parse statement that returns a statement. So what do I want to do in order to ultimately return a block statement here? I need to build up a array list of statements called the block statements. Let's just call it the statements actually for here. And this guy will be a new array list of statements. It's a statement, not a statements. All right. And now what I want to do is I want to go through each of my block part. So for string statement in block parts, I want to do something. And what do I want to do? I want to say the statements dot add. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add parser dot parse statement of that statement. So each statement here is going to be one of my strings. So the first time through, that statement would be print E. The second time through, it would be this update statement. And what am I doing with that string? I'm calling parse statement on that string, which is going to give me an actual statement. I'm currently inside of parse statement. So if I gave it a print, it'll ultimately return a whatever parse print returns, which is a print statement. And what am I going to do with that statement? I'll add it to my collection of statements. Okay, and then ultimately, what am I going to return here? I'm going to return, we'll go ahead and write it and then go fix it up top. So parser dot parse block, and I'm going to pass it my collection of statements. Okay, this guy will go ahead and assemble a block statement for me. So let's go up and look at write parse block. I'll put it up with parse print. So this will be a static. This guy will return a block statement. It's going to be called parse block. It's going to take an array list of statements as a parameter. And we'll just call this guy statements. And what he's going to do is he's going to create a block statement. This is going to be a new block statement. Passing it statements. And then it'll return, return BS. Every now and then our code has some jokes in it. All right, so we'll return our block statement. Now, just as a reminder, what is a block statement? We wrote it right up here. A block statement, in order to build this guy, it's going to keep track of a single array list of statements. The constructor for this takes in an array list of statements. So that's what I'm passing it from out. Here, here's my parse block. It takes in an array list of statements. I build my block statement using that array list of statements, and then I return that block statement. So then back down here in parse statement, in my, if this thing starts with begin, I'm going to return whatever parse block returns given this array list of statements, which will be my collection of statements. All right, so let's make sure this guy does what we want it to do for our parser. Now I'll go ahead and leave it as a while loop here, because part of this while loop is going to be to handle this statement. So we're just going to display our parser like we've done all the times up to this point. Oh. So here is our update E, but I'm not seeing. Let me just start by just having it be a begin statement. We might have to go and look at how it's embedded inside of a while. Okay, I see the issue. Let me put this back. Run it one more time, make sure we're still getting the error. All right, so not a known statement type, update E equals do math, E minus 1. And I am sure that is a spacing issue. There's an extra space in front of update here.
Well, yeah, like after splitting up, the second part is the update E is equal to, so there is a space in between. Yeah, that kind of space.
So we could actually just fix that globally by doing this. Let's go back into our parser. That way we don't have to worry about this happening again. So after we split it, we can go ahead and I think if we say s.trim, then .split, that would take the preceding spaces off. What? Oh, like it just went down? Okay. You guys can still hear me, right? I don't know if I lost them. Sometimes they just don't reply to me. You get both versions of that. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My wife just warned me that she was having internet issues, so it's possible that something will happen. It might just be whatever she's working on, but just
Yes, your voice was not continuing.
Yes, you are also freezing up.
Yeah, I
Yes, yeah.
reconnected. I closed.
oh, I gotcha. So am I good now?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's been for like almost a minute or two.
They said I was gone for a minute or two.
No, I mean your voice is not constantly.
Oh, I gotcha. Well, in any case, we have our while statement that's now getting our block statement, which has a print statement and it's followed by an update statement. So it seems to be parsing it just fine. There's some, spacing might be a little suspect here, but it looks like we have the correct pieces. So now let's go write the interpreter side of things. No, it's funny. My wife's over there doing exercises, kicking her leg back and forth, and I just found it funny. You can do your workout. These are my grad students that I've known for a while. All right. So let's go look at the interpreter side of this. I'll go ahead and comment out this, uncomment that. And let's look at our spider interpreter. Actually, let me just get farther down the line in there. These things are getting beefy enough now that it's hard to find stuff. So we'll go into our spider interpreter and we'll go down to interpret statement. And this guy is going to take in a statement and we're going to go ahead and we're already handling a while statement. So even though we're currently in the middle of a while statement, what we want to do is we want to add the ability to handle a block statement. So else if S is an instance of block statement, if that's a true statement, then we want to go ahead and call our spider interpreter, even though we haven't written this part yet. And we want to interpret block statement. And we'll pass it a block statement version of S. So we need to go and write interpret block statement. All right, just got another internet is unstable. Can you guys still hear me?
I think he's gone.
Yeah, I'm not getting. It's cutting
Yeah.
off.
You say, I think he's gone. It's a little.
Disconnected.
So,
Oh,
Go back.
Hear me now?
Yeah.
He's here.
but you're okay. Never mind. You doesn't seem like you are smooth. Seems like you're not very fluid.
All right, how about, are we okay for the moment?
Okay. I guess he's gone again.
No,
Connected.
You can see that his mouth is not very like moving.
Now he's moving. Yeah.
So I'm assuming you can hear me. You can hear me right now?
You are keeping your smiling face all the time.
I'm always laughing.
Well, but you cannot freeze your laugh.
Oh, I see. I probably could if I tried. All right. But what's funny is when we disconnect, I can hear you guys keep talking for like a minute. Like I hear you say the whole is he gone? I think he's gone, and Blade making fun of you that he disconnected and all that stuff. So I mean, I hear your whole banter. I just, you know, you guys can't hear me.
But you are not speaking fluid. Like
Right,
your
right,
voice
right.
is
I know,
discontinuous.
I know you can't hear
I think
me.
he want to try. He's trying to listen what the students are telling about him.
All right, but do I sound okay?
Anyway,
right
his internet is not very good.
Yeah,
now? I sound
I'm
okay right
getting
now?
his voice.
We cannot hear you.
Oh,
Yeah,
you can't hear me. Okay. One moment. I'll switch over to my hotspot.
hello.
I'm going to switch over to my hotspot.
I guess he's back.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm on my hotspot now, so you guys can hear me.
Yeah, very clear.
Okay.
Have you resumed your recording?
It never stopped recording.
Okay, cool.
Okay. I have to call Spectrum. I
See you then.
mean, I usually have pretty solid internet, and recently it's, you know, like it's been fine for long, you know, for multiple days, and all of a sudden I'll have like little issues like this. It's got to be something going on. Okay, so you can see the screen and everything.
Yeah.
All right, so we're in here in interpret block statement. And this guy's going to take in a block statement as a parameter, and we're going to go ahead and so what does it mean to interpret a block statement? It means to execute all the statements that are inside of the block statement, right? So notice here, what do we, you know, if we look at like the print statement, what do? We went ahead and we got, you know, an expression from the print statement that we wanted to execute. And then we called, we got our answer from that, and then we added it to our output. Well, what we really want to do in interpret block statement is there's nothing actually to add to the output for a block statement. Now, if we really wanted to, I guess we could say that you know, we're doing a block or something, but realistically, we don't really need to do anything with our output inside here. What we really want to do is we want to get our array list of statements. This will be get statements from our block statement. And then we want to go through each of these elements. So for statement in statements. And what do I do with the statement? I call parse statement. I call interpret statement rather. And I pass it that statement. All right, so that's what we do when we're interpreting a block statement. We go through all the statements in that array list, and we go through each of those statements, and we ask our interpreter to interpret each one of them. That's how we interpret a block statement. So if we were going back to our code here, when I said test starts off at 20, well, test is greater than 0, and I want to go ahead and I want to print out E. So I'll print out 20, then I'll print out 19, 18, 17, 16, so on and so forth. And each time I want to update, it should do this stuff some number of times, and that number of times is dictated by my while loop. So let's see what we got here. run. I'm not seeing my console.
It's weird. You should find out your console on the tab.
Yeah.
Now, so you have to update the condition in the while as less than 0. Oh,
No, it's right.
that's right. That's right.
As long as it's greater than 0, do this stuff. There.
I think it is because the console is not.
Let's just
there.
make sure that that's the case, and then I'll go hunt for my console. Oh no, it found it. Oh, I think it's running. I don't know if it was running, I'd still see it. But my computer's fan is running pretty hard right here. Let's go into. Let's just make sure I'm getting into here. Go ahead and debug this. Get rid of that breakpoint. Get rid of that breakpoint. Here's my interpret block statement, so I'll step over that. And here's my list of statements. So there's my print statement and there's my update statement. So I have the right kind of statements. So there's my interpret statement. For my print statement, and we've seen print statements work. And here's my interpret statement for my update statement. We've seen that work. And this falls past. So that was 1 time, 2 times, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay. It's never getting past. It's an infinite loop in my while loop.
Yeah, it's an infinite loop.
All right, so that means
Because-
my while loop. So even when I am executing that update, my while loop is not.
Go to check your spider interpreted well.
I think it's the condition because you said less than 0, so it will go.
No, I mean I have it written correctly here. So while test E greater than 0, do this stuff. It has to be that because E starts off at 20, and I'm subtracting 1 from it each time. So I'm moving it towards 0. So as long as it's greater than 0, keep doing something. So that's written fine. So it has to be in here. So when I interpret a while statement, so this was our error checking from last time to make sure it was a test expression. So I'll go ahead and get the test expression. I'll get the statement to execute. This statement should be a block statement. We should be able to prove that to ourselves, but clearly it was because it was getting into block statement. So then we say, well, spider interpreter, interpret test expression, TE. It's not equal to 0, call interpret statement. So this guy continues to It should be okay. Because a test expression should have the expression, the operator, and the expression. And when I interpret a test expression, I get the left value, I get the right value, and then I deal with the output of this guy. Let's just make sure that I'm getting into there. You see, I feel like that infinite loop is still running in the background, even though I don't have a stop statement here.
Kill the section.
All right, so let me get my left and right value here. My left is a resolve statement, my right is a, but why is it a 2? So I set E to 20 here. So it's saying 2 here. That's fine, I'll step over it. Let's just run it to this place again. Oh, that was my original test statement for my question. Okay, so now I'm here inside the while. So my left value is 20, my right value is 0.
It's doesn't update it.
And my left value is not changing. So that's why that guy's a...
So I think like in the while statement class, do we have to update the array of statements rather than taking a single statement as a constructor parameter?
Yeah, so let's look.
Because like I think it's printing the value, but it's not updating the value because it's the second expression in the block statement. And we are passing the statement as one, not the array of statements.
Well, but it should get updated when we process the block statement. So let's follow through this. So if this guy is true, then we call interpret statement on statement, and that statement should be a block statement. This guy right here should be a block statement. I think we've proven that's the case, but let's just do it anyways. Oh, that's my interpret test expression. Step over that. So here's statement. Statement is a block statement. And inside that block statement, we have our collection of statements. We have a print statement, and then we have an update statement. Let's make sure our update statement is doing what we expected it to do. Update E to be do math of E minus 1. Okay, that's correct. So the question is why is it not actually updating? It has something to do with me updating something in the environment, but not using that environment. Let's stop this again. Here's an update statement. So we are updating that variable in our environment right here. And we should be able to prove that it becomes a 19. Let's just run to that real quick. Okay. So here's our interpret block statement. Here's our why does this still say interpret block statement? Isn't this interpret update statement? It has to be an Eclipse thing. Unless did I name my function the same thing twice? Interpret block statement. Yeah. So that's fine. Where was that code? It's an interpret update statement. That looks good. It's the first time through. Now we're in our while. Now we're in our block statement. Maybe it's just showing me what it's about to call. So this should call update variable because this, well, it should have called print variable first. Let's see what we're looking at here. Oh, we are inside of interpret update statement. So the answer is 19. So the 20 became a 19. Then we're calling update variable. We're adding to our output. I'll go ahead and run it here again. But when it got the left value from that, is it only getting the value one time? No, it can't be because our while has worked in the past. All right, so it's still 19, so it's not actually updating.
Maybe you can check in the collection of the variable environment.
Let's see, where's my, oh, it's inside of interpreter. Here, I want to do something real quick. I want to quit Eclipse and then relaunch it. My fan is running awfully hard for just Eclipse being running. closing Android Studio, just in case that's the reason that's seemingly running so hard. That one's already fine. Actually, our interpret resolve statement. No, we're good there. It's going to leave those breakpoints. Oh, so even if I uncheck them here, it doesn't make any difference. Updating our variable. All right, let's look at our variable environment. I'll put a breakpoint here. I wonder if the problem is there's a space before the variable name. So it's not actually finding a variable named E. That would be pretty consistent with what we've been seeing. If I go to since we're just manipulating strings, which is a little bit janky, but that's okay for what we're focusing on. Let me do my update statement. So since we've seen this work before, I'm going to trim the name of that variable. Same issue. But it doesn't show me that it's running so that I could stop it.
Always run in debug mode.
What's this?
I say just run in debug mode, and you can.
Well, right, but what I don't understand is, so I mean, this guy works like that. If I run it like this, we have seen this goes into an infinite loop. Fine. But when I run this, why isn't it showing me that it's still running? We know we have a problem. There should be an infinite loop here. But I just ran it and it's not still running.
Is that Eclipse has some problem? I don't know.
Let's see. Well, at least now we should not have a space in our variable. So we've taken that out. Let's see what this is looking like. Need to get my, I think I closed my, all right, so answer is 19 there. We've seen that. It's just stuck on this over and over again. Ay, ay, ay. All right, let's go back into our block statement. In our interpreter.
So can you try it again without using the block statement?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Just delete the beginning.
Right. Oh, here, let me copy this. Yeah, so that
This
counts.
is correct. So it's related to block.
Oh, yeah.
So how about the delete the print E, just the update?
Oh, inside the block statement.
Yeah. You should, if one word,
I would hope this is not going to work.
yeah. it
So
will.
is the problem with print?
I don't know. I just say, let's
Yeah, right.
boil down to what's the problem it is.
I think it's the problem of like array of these statements inside the block.
Here,
So
let me try
maybe-
to update twice.
Yeah, yeah, let's just say what's the problem. Yeah, so the print Y double E.
Oh, look at this. So 2019,
That's correct.
we set it to 20. Then we updated it to 19. But then after that, it 18, 18, 17, 17, 16, 16. So it still went through 20 times. So that is part of the issue. do something here.
Can you check again how you split the block statement? I think it is the way that you split a block as a problem.
I don't think so, because I already had, I mean, I'll show it. We already had a interpret block statement. Because I think I looked at the parts.
It passed the update and the print, yes, we see, but it's not interpret, it's the passing.
So I think we saw statements had the correct stuff split.
Can you hover over the statements?
I'm going to show you.
I mean, just show the US.
What do you want to see?
Expand the variable US on the
Oh, this guy, right?
kind E. Okay.
There's its value, it's 20.
Yeah, that's correct.
So here's our block statement. Here's our array
Project
list.
statement.
We have a print statement and then an update.
And the print statement.
Print statement is a resolve expression. E.
And update.
Our update statement. Oh, EE.
E. So where does the E coming from? It's probably because it's update. Update is
Yeah, update the last E. Followed by
update
the
last E
variable name
concatenate
E.
with the space, and so it's the problem with the split in block.
If I split this on commas,
Can you go back to check the pass block?
pass what block?
Yeah, pass block.
Oh, you want to see the first time through block,
Yeah, how it was passed.
right?
Go to the parser.
Where's my parser? There we go. So it's going to be inside of parse.
Plus, you can just maybe pass.
So parse statement is where it'll be.
Begin with equals begin. Okay. String S. I guess you can make a breakpoint at the
Point here, walk through it and see it work.
see how it passed.
Right.
I guess it is wrong.
All right, let's just step over the first thing, make sure temp is what I think it should be. Print E, comma, update E equals do bath.
Then
That looks correct.
can you go to the next one? Then we
Yep.
can see block parts.
So here's block parts. We have a
Okay, it is two print E updates.
that looks correct.
Then let's go into the passing updates.
Oh.
I already see updates. There is a space. There is a space in front of update. So it is the passing, the statements add pass
Oh, right. I see what
statement
you're
in the string. Each block parts need a string too.
So that would be dot trend.
String.
Just run that real quick. Yeah, that was the problem.
Yeah, that's a problem. Focus on the wrong place for the string. Actually, we should write the help method for splitting. We have too many this.
Right, yeah. Well, but even then, we're not always splitting on the same thing. I'm not sure the help method really would give us much, because it would just give us if we wrote a help method for splitting, it would still just give us a string array.
No, what I mean is in a way is we making sure it will always string the block. When we're splitting, we have always had this problem.
Oh, you mean have a function that goes through and splits and then goes through and
Yeah,
trims everything.
yeah, string all the block.
Yeah, right. That makes sense. All right, so this guy is now counting down. Let's see what should come next. Just for the sake of time, I don't want to, well, we really should be able to have a while loop inside of a while loop. There's no reason why that can't be a thing. So let's go back here then. Close my debug. And we're going to go into, actually we'll go into parser. All right, and here's our, what I was mentioning earlier, here's our begin that's not currently compatible with an embedded block. So what that effectively means is our code currently does not work on let's do,
You should be able to allow block wrapping blocks.
yeah. So I'm going to show what the function would look like. So we're going to say do begin, we'll print out E. Then we're going to update A to be 10. Then we'll say while A greater than 0, do begin print A, comma, Then we'll have an update A. To be A minus 1. Then we'll end that. That's going to be the end of that while. And then we update E to be do math. So now let me just show you, this is the effectively, here, let's just write it in our syntax here. I'll just say scratch paper down here. All right, so what I'm trying to say here is I'm trying to say E is equal to 20 while E is greater than 0. I should just write it as code here. A, or we'll say print E. Then we'll say A is equal to 10 while A is greater than 0. Print A. A is equal to A minus 1. E is equal to E minus 1. Like that. So that's what we're trying to accomplish. Set E to 20. So we're going to do this 20 times. What are we going to do? We're going to print out E. Then we're going to set A to 10. Then we're going to have another while loop that goes as long as A is greater than 0. Print out A. Update A to be 1 less than it used to be. So this should print out 10, 9. Well, this should print out 20, then 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then it'll print out, then E will become 19. It'll print out 19. Then it'll print out 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then 18, 10, 10, 9, 7, 6, 3, blah, blah, blah. All that. So that's what this loop should currently do. So the equivalent code to this should be written in here right now, where we have a while loop that we set E equal to 20. As long as E is greater than 0, do something. We'll print out E. Then we'll update A to be 10. Then as long as A is greater than 0, we'll print out A. Then we'll update A to be A minus 1. Then we end. So this is the end of this begin. Then we update E to be do math to be minus 1. So this allows us to have a while loop inside of a while loop, and whatever code we write for this should also allow us to have loops inside of loops inside of loops inside of loops, so on and so forth. So whatever logic we have. So what we really need to do is, let's say I'm looking at this, and we'll talk through it at first, and then it's going to actually be our assignment. What's taking up all the system resources? Oh, Dr. Racket is? Okay. And then clips. Let's close Eclipse for right now. All right, so assuming we have a string that looks like this. So big long string, and this string is a begin and an end that also has another begin and end inside of it. We want to decide, how do I split this up such that I can have, because this begin has multiple things associated with it. It has this guy. Let's see if I can do it to the text, right? Oh, it's fine. Let's bold it. It has this guy. Oh. It has this guy, and it has this guy. So there's 4 different, so I'll just put it here. Top level begin has print E, update, and this whole while. And then this update. All right, so the question is how do we go through and parse, because now we have this guy here that within it has a print A, and this. So we need to be able to split this string up into something that looks like this. And the question is how do we do that? Right now, we're splitting on commas, right? We're just using a built-in function to split. We're splitting on commas. Now, splitting on a comma is not going to help us. Well, it'll help us, but it doesn't get the job done here, because that's going to give us this. Well, actually, what we're ultimately working with is this string right here, right? Because we do initially trim off the begin and the end. So we can say this is what we're actually looking at. We haven't handled the internal begin and end as the punchline. So if we split on commas, I get this, I get this, I get up to that. So this is where things start breaking down for us, right? I'm bridging 2 things. So what I need to do is I need to be able to effectively write my own split method that goes through and starts collecting this. So I'm going to kind of walk through the algorithm, and then it's going to actually be your homework over the weekend. All right, so what we want to do here is we want to start collecting characters. All right, so let me empty this out here for a second. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? Let me just create a second slide that's the same slide. And I'm going to say num begins is equal to 1. So far, I have 1 begin. And this means I'm looking for a single end to finish that. Actually, let's say I can actually set num begin is equal to 0 since we've trimmed off the first num begin end. So this means I'm going, well, let's just leave it at that. rather than trying to give it a sentence. So num begins, as I start walking through this, I have found 0 num begins, right? So really what I'm looking for is either a comma or a begin. So I start collecting. I'm gonna go ahead and kick that out. So I'm gonna start just walking through this string one character at a time. Is this a comma or a begin? No. Is this a comma? 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 Okay. Yes, it is. So far I've captured this guy. Now, we'll just put it in here. So I've captured that guy. Found my comma. I'm going to burn past the comma, and we'll do trims on this. So I'll say capture, 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 all the way up until I finally hit a comma. So now I have this guy, and I'll trim him. Then I have this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. But then I hit a begin. Now, when I hit a begin, so far I've captured up to that. Now, how do I know I hit that begin? I need to know where the indexes of those begins are. Keep in mind that when I run into a while, now there's a couple of ways you can think through this. You could say, if I'm looking at a while, I must have a begin, even though we've proven that you don't necessarily have a begin with a while. But this statement is a complex statement, right? It's either, it has a starting point and then it has the thing after it. But if I don't have a begin in there, I'm still just splitting on commas. It's once I hit a begin, I have another layer of comma divided things. So really what I'm looking for here is I'm looking for the occurrences of begins. So let's ask this question. If I know a begin is found here, I can use index of to tell me that there's a begin that starts at this bucket right here. What does that tell me? How can I operate off the knowledge of this begin to say, well, I really want to capture this entire thing as a single statement, meaning that I want to ignore the commas that might be inside of this statement. So this begin has a print comma, a or print a comma, then an update. I want to ignore those commas on my splitting because I found another begin. So from the position of this comma, when I run into something that has a begin, I know that I need to capture everything up to that end right there. And I need to deal with that guy separately. That's starting to make some sense. So there's an aspect of recursion that's playing here. So when I make my initial call to split, whatever you're going to call this, let's call this guy a split block. Okay, so this is my initial call to split block.
I think it's the same as the do math.
Similar, but do math didn't require you to find the end. Do math, if you look at do math, oh, I'm missing my syntax for it.
Because do math, you need to find out the operator. So actually it is similar.
Well, right, but you don't necessarily, I mean, here we're skipping commas. So here, let me open up a do math. Let me just
If you are doing do math, you are skipping the inside do math.
Well, but our do math would technically currently be broken, since I guess technically we could have a block statement inside of do math. So if I look at do math here, every single time we hit a do math, we were looking for, we knew exactly that we were going to capture something followed by an operator followed by something. We knew we were going to run into that something. So that's where the recursive aspect of that came from. We didn't have to deal with, well, there was multiple commas inside of here. So every single time I hit a begin, begin isn't the beginning of a statement. Do math was. Do math was the beginning of a statement. So once we hit a do math, we knew what we would expect next up till the very end of that particular statement. So we hit a do math and we hit another do math, we knew the number of operators we're going to have to absorb. When we hit a begin, we don't necessarily know the number of comma delimited statements we're going to have to absorb. We don't know if it has 2 things in there or 5 things in there or 7 things in there because it's a collection of those statements. So we really need to deal with our string in smaller chunks. So here, let me kind of just follow through this. If we call our split block initially, our split block gets this entire string here. All right, that's our split block. We keep going, keep going, keep going. Now, as we start hitting commas, I'm going to capture something. And then substring. I'm going to capture something. And then substring. Now, just because I hit a while does not necessarily mean I'm going to hit a begin. So I'm going to still, I'm in the process of capturing. Now, each time through, I might ask the question. So now we're going to add the question in that we would have asked in the previous 2 as well. Where is the next index of begin? If there is another begin, that means that, well, I want to know where's my next instance of comma. So let's just see, this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, so whatever. I lost count already, it's fine. So let's just say this is at 20. So begin is found at 20. A comma is found at 27. So since a begin comes before the next comma, that means that we know that we must be in the midst of grabbing a new statement that has a begin in it. So when I say, what is the index of begin from here? And what is the index of the next comma? If begin comes before the next comma, that means I want to get the substring of everything from the beginning of this all the way to the next occurrence of end, this guy. And I want to call split block on that. Well, really, actually, what I'll do is I'll capture everything up to this point and call split block on the rest of the piece. So I'll capture everything up to my begin. So I'll get the substring up to where begin starts. That'll get me that piece. Then I'll go ahead and so I've captured that so far, but now I know I'm at a begin. So I need to get everything from here to here with the begin and end trimmed off like we did before. So my second call, I'm calling split block on this. So now I can absorb everything up to end plus the comma. So again, next instance of begin is -1. Next instance of comma is also -1. So I don't have either of those. So the rest of it is my final statement. And when I called split block on this guy, so we'll be able to do the algorithm again here. I say, what's the next occurrence of begin? It's -1. What's the next occurrence of comma? It's a 7, whatever it is. All right, so since a 7 comes first, since there is not a begin, I'll capture up to the comma. I actually could do a split on comma if I don't find a begin. So I could say that, but let's just keep the algorithm consistent. So we'll say, I look for a begin, I don't find one. Since I don't find a begin, I don't care where my next comma is. I won't have to have another recursive call. So I'll capture till I hit a comma. Then substring. Where's the next location of begin? I'm going to still ask the same questions. I don't find one, so I'm going to capture until I either hit a comma or the end of the line. So there's my end of my line. And now I have my things split into their pieces. Now, when I call the split block on this, these are the pieces that go along with this while loop. This while loop takes remember when we build a while statement takes f and then it takes a statement, right?
Can you repeat that once? I just missed that because I was looking for my charger.
So split block returns a block statement. Split block. I'll steal this word. Returns a block statement. So this stuff right here, well, really this stuff, this will go into a block statement, which is an array list of statements. That will be the array list that is used for the expression or the statement portion of this while statement. So the result of this, we'll say, built using the result of split block below. When I build my while test, I will call split the statement portion of this will be the result of calling split block on that particular statement. I need a statement for my while loop. My while loop says, give me a test statement or test expression. Give me a test expression followed by a do, followed by a statement. Now, if it's a normal statement, then I would have just gone until the comma. I have my statement, I build my while statement, life goes on. If I don't have a statement, if I don't have a normal statement, instead I have a block statement, I would have found the begin. And if I found a begin, what do? I have to call split block. I call split block on that position from begin all the way up to the next end. So I'm going to call split block on this guy. This is after begin all the way up to right before the corresponding end. And this guy, split block, is going to give me a block statement as a result. And it's going to be a block statement with an array list that has 2 statements in it that it did from parsing that. So split block takes in a single block, a single begin end. Now, there could be other begin ends in between, which would then result in another split block call. So this is going to be recursive split block call. Does this make some sense? So this while loop will end up having its statement be the result of calling split block. So all that happens recursively. So as soon as I hit a begin after this while, we go back one screen. When I notice I have a begin for the statement part of this, then what do? I'm going to go ahead and call split block on, really, it's on everything after the begin up to everything before the corresponding end trimmed. And by doing that, I will be able to burn past this. Now, what if I had another while inside of that while? Another begin end inside of there. I need to be able to find my positions of begin and end because I'm looking for a corresponding end to an opening begin. And that's where I had that begin count thing where I'm trying to piece my stuff together based on the beginnings of begins and the ending of end. And this is where it differentiates itself from do math, where I'm just looking for an operator and I'm always, the difference here is we have a begin and an end to a block statement, where a do math always had a begin, but didn't have an end. The end would just be whenever we naturally finished it. And every single time we bumped into a new starting point for do math, we knew we were looking for an expression followed by an operator followed by expression, where that expression could be another do math. So this is one step more complex because now we're looking for the corresponding endpoint for a particular begin. And that's because begins are linked to, a begin is its own kind of statement that can be used with a question, that can be used with a while, that can be used with all these other kinds of things, right? So we're trying to discover the algorithm for capturing a specific begin. So now let's make this one level more complex. So I'm going to take this same thing here. I'm going to take that. And I'm going to put it in here. And I'll say B is 10, while B is greater than 0. Print B, update B to be do math, B minus 1, and update A, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so now let's say that I'm trying to deal with something like this. So a more complex version of our statement. Hide this. But hopefully this then will reveal the pattern that you have to follow, because we're still just making another recursive call. And that's where it is similar to do math. All right, so if this is the string that I'm trying to split. All right, so this used to have a begin and an end before it. Okay, so this is my top level block statement. So this is my first call to split block. So we'll call split block on all of this.
So I have a question.
Go ahead.
The thing is, like you're saying, we have to find the begin and the end. But if we consider the begin first, we will find the end afterwards. Oh yeah. I
You
can
might have
understand.
another begin before that end.
Yeah, before that end. Yeah, okay.
Yep. All right, so my original call to split block will be on this entire, so here, this is actually a string. It'll be on that entire string. Okay, so that's what that call to split block will be. And now when I process split block, what I'm interested in is where's the next location of a begin. If it's not found, then I know I have clear sailing. If it is found, so in this case, the position of begin was right here. And then I say, okay, well, where's the position of the next comma? The next comma is right here. So that means I'm not ready to deal with my begin yet. So here, I'm going to create a second slide here that's going to have my algorithm on it. We're going to say find pause of next begin. If found, find pause of next comma. If comma comes before begin, we are not ready to process begin. If not found, so if we have not found I'm sorry. Oh yeah, I'm in the right place. If not found, we only have what we're going to call flat statements left, and can just look for commas or end of string. All right, so this is our easy case here. The hard case is this guy. Find pause. If it's found, find the pause of our next comma. If the next comma comes before begin, we are not ready to process begin. So what do? We collect chars up to next comma. So again, I say, where's the position of begin? It's right here. Where's the position of my next comma? It's right here. Comma comes before begin, so I'm not ready to process begin yet. What do? I collect chars up to the next comma. And then take the substring. Collect chars up to the next comma, record the collected statement string, take the substring from just after comma to the end. That's what I did right here. Oops, sorry. So I had the print E comma beforehand, so I collected it, I recorded it, then I took the substring from this guy all the way to the end. All right, next time through. And really, this whole thing happens while there are still chars. All right, so again, I definitely have more chars. So I asked the question, where's my next begin? It's right here. Where's my next comma? It's right here. Comma comes before the begin. I'm not ready to deal with it. I collect chars up to the comma. I record it, then take my substring after the comma to the end. All right, so now where's my next begin? My next begin is right here. Where's my next comma? Next comma is after that begin. So this is going to be this is the special point. This is where we have to do something carefully. All right, so what do? Well, I'm going to start capturing everything up to the begin. Because in this case, I found a begin before I found the next comma. If comma comes before begin, we are not ready to process begin. Else, I'm going to say, if comma comes after begin, we need to process the begin by calling split block. Okay. Now, split block takes everything from a begin all the way up to its corresponding end. So that means the very first thing I need to do is I need to capture everything up to the begin. That's the first part of my statement. So in this case, this is a while, and leading up to it is going to be, so I'm going from while all the way up to the do, but basically I'm just collecting everything that leads up to the begin. And I'm going to record that for now. All right. So now I have everything up to the begin. And what I'm doing is I want to now capture this begin all the way up to its corresponding end. So then the question is how do I do that? This is where that special count comes into place. My begin count is currently 1. Every time I run into an end, I decrement it, and I'm done collecting once I have, gone down to 0 for my begin count. Now, one thing I could do here is I could split this guy up on spaces, since I know that begin will always have a space before and a space after it. It stands on its own. Okay, so I could split this entire thing up on spaces if I wanted to. Ultimately, what am I doing is I'm collecting a string until I hit a space, and then I'm interested in what that string is. So how you split it is up to you, but I'm going to start collecting. And when I hit a space, I want to ask, is the thing I just collected a begin? If it is, my begin count is now 1. Keep collecting. All I'm doing now is I'm looking for an end. All right, so I collected my begin. So here, I'll give myself a place to get this. So I'll just start collecting my string and then taking substrings. So there's my begin. Collect, is that a begin or an end? Nope. Collect, 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 collect. Okay, so every single time I hit a space, I'm going to go ahead and get my collection. I can tack it on with a space. So begin, print. Is that guy a begin or an end? Nope. Tack it on. Is this guy a begin or end? Nope. Tack it on. Is this guy a begin or end? Nope. Tack it on. Is this guy a begin or end? Nope. Tack it on. Is this guy a begin or end? Nope. Tack it on. Is this guy a begin or end? Nope. Tack it on. Is this guy a begin or end? Nope. Tack it on. Is this guy a begin or end? Nope. Tack it on. Is this guy a begin or end? Nope. Tack it on. Is this guy a begin or end? Nope. Tack it on. Is this guy a begin or end? Yes. Which kind is it? It's a begin. If comma comes after begin, we need to process the begin. So collect chars until you hit a space. Then ask if it is a begin or an end or other. If other, just record it. If begin, record it, but also increment begin count. if end, record it, but decrement begin count. We are done once begin count is 0. So we know we have finished when we have hit an end and begin count gets decremented down to a 0. So I'll keep praying.
Can you go? Yeah.
Okay, so we just, let me put right before this. We had a begin count of 1, right? So now I hit another begin. My begin count is now a 2.
Sir, so after do, we'll have a space right here.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you'll check it against the trimmed version of it, the word begin, but you're gonna capture all the characters.
Okay.
So again, up to the space, is that a begin or end? No, record it. Up to the space, is that a begin or end? Nope, record it. Up to the space, is that a begin or end? Nope, record it. Up to the space, is that a begin or end? Nope. Record it. Up to the space, is that a begin or end? Nope. Record it. Up to the space, is that a begin or end? Nope. Record it. Up to the space, is that a begin or end? Nope. Record it. Up to the space, is that a begin or end? Nope. Record it. Up to the space, is that a begin or end? Nope. Record it. Up to the space, is that a begin or end? Yes, it's an end. What do we do when we have an end? If it's an end, we'll record it, but we'll also decrement begin count. And we're done once begin count is 0. So I'll decrement begin count. I'll record my end. Okay. But begin count is not 0, so I'm not done. Up to the space, is that a begin or end? Nope. Record it. Up to the space, is that a begin or end? Nope. Record it. Up to the space, is that a begin or end? Nope. Record it. Up to the space, is that a begin or end? Nope. Record it. Up to the space, is that a begin or end? Nope. Record it. Up to the space, is that a begin or end? Nope. Record it. Up to the space, is that a begin or end? Nope. Record it. Up to the space, is that a begin or end? Now this is where you need to be careful, because you could have, if we have a beginner end in the middle, if we hit a comma, we know we're done. Is that somebody snoring? It'd be hilarious if that's somebody snoring. So up to either the space, or once we hit a comma, we know we need to stop. All right, so I've captured.
I'm confused here.
Well,
So in the beginning,
characters. I'm collecting characters, and this is an end. What do we do when we find an end? When we find an end, we record it. So I'll go do that. So I have my end. I'll record it. So we need to check for spaces or commas. If we bump into a comma, we treat a comma like it's a space, because that's the end of us collecting something. All right. So I'll put it here in the algorithm. Collect chars up to the next comma. Until you hit a space. I'm going to say or comma there. All right, so we got to our, where am I at here? Got to right here. I recorded the end. Begin count gets decremented to 0. I'm done. Because begin count is now 0. This is my begin end. then I'm going to call split block on. So we're going to call split block on that. And this will give you the statement associated with this while. Now, keep in mind that this split block, as we process this, this is going to run into another begin. So the exact same thing we had before, I'll expedite this one, is we capture, very first thing we run into is a begin. So our begin count becomes 1. And I'm going to expedite. This is all stuff we would have captured. And okay, so I'm sorry, where am I at here? I'm on this, I'm up here. I've already captured my internal one. I'm up at this one. Oh, actually, no, I am inside this one. So I would have trimmed off the begin and trimmed off the end. Alexa, shut up. Hey.
You can say, Alexa, stop.
All right, so I'll start collecting. Now I hit a begin. So these guys are all going to be split on commas, right? So there's that. There's that. There's that. Now I hit a begin. What do I do when I hit a begin? I call split block, passing it everything from begin to its corresponding end. Using the exact same algorithm we just used to collect that.
If once the begin count is 0, we need to call the split block, right?
Correct. Well, no. If begin count goes to 0, begin count just became 1 when we ran into this guy. So we call split count, or we call split block as soon as we hit a begin.
Okay.
That's when split block it, because we need to split up that block. It's what do we call it on? We call it on everything from the begin to its corresponding end, trimmed. So we take the begin off and we take the end off, and we already wrote the code that does that. That's from the length of begin all the way to the end -3 for the length of end. So that gets us this piece. We'll call split block on that, which will give us the statement for this while. Then we capture the rest. Like that. All right, so you're gonna have to write your own effectively split or string tokenizer that will split it apart like that. All right, so I've given you the pseudocode algorithm here for it. We just walked through it. So if you just look at the end of the video, you can watch how we did this. And you're going to be collecting characters and effectively building this for your statements to be executed in order. Does that make some sense? So your homework is to implement block statements such that they support embedded block statements. I'll go ahead and put this up on I'll put this up on Blackboard. I'll also go ahead and push our latest version of our Spider language. Complete for which homework was was this homework 10?
And it is 11. No, it is
The
11.
new one's homework 11. The one we did in class today was homework 10, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So push that. And I'll put this up on Blackboard and I'll see everybody on Monday.
Goodbye.
Have a good one.
Thanks.